Okay. Joining us now is Congressman Andy Ogles of Tennessee. I am also predicting, in spite of all of this, don't expect anything other than jacked up Joe that we saw at the State of the Union address 9 days from now during that debate. I may be wrong, but that's my best educated guess. Let's see if I'm right. 70% of Americans would like a drug test. Well, we test horses after big races. We test athletes after athletic events. And before, why wouldn't you test presidential candidates? Anyway, Congressman Ogles, do you like that idea?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this isn't, he's not having slippage. He's in full cognitive decline. And, and there's this question that's out there, both from Republicans and Democrats, about his ability to lead the nation, to lead the world, quite frankly. And if he really was kind of not on some sort of jacked up juice, he wouldn't have a problem. He would volunteer a drug test. But look, my concern, and why I've offered legislation to force him to disclose it, is that if he in fact is on some sort of cocktail, if he's in fact on some sort of rigid sleep schedule so that he has periods where he's lucid and can function, that means there's periods of time in this nation where we don't have a commander-in-chief because he's incapacitated. That concerns me. It concerns you. It should concern America, and I think that's manifesting itself in the conversations I hear on the House floor from my Democratic colleagues is they recognize he's in decline.
He definitely is. Now, do you talk to Democrats? Do they privately, roll their eyes and, it's so bad, we're so embarrassed, or do they keep it to themselves?
They do keep it to themselves in the sense they're not going to ever say anything publicly. But to those that I have relationships with, they roll their eyes. They know that he's not in charge. They know he's not the leader of the party. But what are they going to do? They have to stay in line if they want the support of the machine. And so you see it on full display. And, Jean-Pierre now, they're going into denial mode. This is all they can do is they can stall, try to get him through the election. I'm still shocked that they're going to even try to put him forward for a debate. I spoke to him at the State of the Union. I was the first Republican that he greeted on the House floor, and I spoke with him, and I had a conversation, and you know what? The lights were on, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but there was no one home. He was unable to respond to me in kind of a quick, real time in our conversation, and that is troubling.
So even hyper-caffeinated Joe was having a hard time having the ability to communicate with you. And let me tell you, America's going to be he didn't even give Speaker Johnson an opportunity to introduce him, as is tradition, at the State of the Union address. My high privilege, distinct honor to introduce to you the President of the United States of America, blah, blah, blah. Everybody, stands. He just got up there, handed the speech to the Speaker and his Vice President, and started racing through that speech at a record pace. And that is not the Joe we ever saw before then. And we haven't seen it after. Now, the fact that we haven't seen it after causes me to pause and ask, well, why haven't they, let's just say it was a lot of Red Bull. Let's be charitable. Or whatever he had, to get him in that hyper-caffeinated state. Whatever it is must not be good for his health, must be dangerous to his health, or I would imagine we would have seen it again, wouldn't you?
Oh, sure. And just as a casual observer, where he seems to function in his greatest capacity is when he's reading from a teleprompter or when he's reading from his note cards. In other words, you're going to call on this reporter from said outlet and you're going to answer this question. The moment that he has to go off script or he actually has to think for himself, and again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, that's where there's a glitch. That's where the system starts to shut down. I have a computer at home where the hard drive just crashed. If he's asked a question that's off script, his hard drive crashes. I've seen it. You've seen it on video. You've heard him mumbling. Some of the audio you just played is illegible.
My favorites are. He does it all the time.
Right.
All right, quick break. More with Congressman Andy Ogles of Tennessee on the other side. We'll also get your calls in, 800-941-SEAN, as we continue. This is pretty interesting. The Daily Caller had the piece on this. Headline is, White House officially claims Biden has made 148 mistakes during his 2024 public remarks. Through 118 statements, speeches, and chats with reporters spanning from January 1st to April 24th, the White House has officially updated their transcript with corrections to what the president said out loud at least 148 times. Now, some of these modifications include corrections to names, dates, titles of organizations. Others change verbs, modify the meaning of the president's statement entirely. Words that the president didn't say but should have. According to the White House staff, things also have been added to the transcript. So, I mean, anybody can misspeak. I talk for 4 hours a day. Trust me, I've had my own moments, if you will. But nothing like this guy, and nobody I know is like this guy. Unless, of course, you're suffering from, significant cognitive decline, or people that I have known that have had Alzheimer's or early onset Alzheimer's. I've seen the tragedy of it, and he certainly seems like a candidate to me, although I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not making a medical diagnosis. Something bad is going on there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you say, I talk for a living. I give lots of speeches, and you talk for a living, and we're going to make those mistakes. But, a lot of times, you and I, we catch our mistakes. Every now and again, you blow right through it, and then afterwards you recognize it. I mean, he's reading from a teleprompter, and he'll say things such as, pause here. He's reading the notes within the speech. And, again, it's the inability to catch himself, to think in the moment versus just being this robotic that they have trained to go read this. And again, I spoke to him on the House floor. I talked to him, and he was unable to hold an actual conversation. Again, so No Juicing Joe would require them to disclose when he's on this cocktail. And to your point, he'd have to be drug tested. In the same way, Trump's not hiding anything. So why do we let Joe Biden hide this from us?
It's a great point. Now, I was with President Trump, and he went on for almost an hour and 20 minutes with me. Nonstop, articulate, engaged, on his game. Anyway, Congressman Andy Ogles, appreciate you. Thanks.